explain what karma yoga is?
Offering your actions without attachment to the result. It's an active thought. I think about it all the time.
Yep.
When we're working, doing stuff, and it's like an active offering. Just doing your duty, without desiring any fruit or any result from it. Just being attached to the duty.
Yeah.
And offering.
Very beautiful. Yoga is a little bit more subtle. We've read pretty much what it is, but Krishna's about to expand on it. It's essentially bringing this principle of sacrifice into your life. But to somebody, it's a bit subtle. Does somebody want to take a shot at describing what Jnana Yoga is?
And Jnana is knowledge sacrifice.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like sacrificing your capacity, your mental capacity for connecting your consciousness towards divine knowledge.
Yeah, it's a bit subtle. I think probably the best description of Jnana Yoga is in 17, 18, and 19 of this chapter that we read before, because it's very subtle. It's essentially using your intellect, your knowledge capacity to practice karma yoga. Right? Your knowledge of karma yoga should be burning all the actions you do in this fire of sacrifice. Right? So to maintain that within your intelligence and to act completely, but without acting. So there's a mysterious verse where Krishna says in chapter 17, basically the nature of action is difficult to understand. And then he says this kind of cryptic verse, says, one who sees action within inaction and inaction within action is wise among men. Which is a hard to understand verse. But it's important to understand that the word being used there is karma in Sanskrit, which has two meanings because it's embedded in the meaning, right? The one word means action and it also means reaction, right? So you can't say the word action in Sanskrit without saying reaction. So it's like, that's like contained in the language that actions have reactions, right? And so what Krishna's saying there is, if you're seeing that even in inaction, because he talks about this in chapter 2, if your mind is desirous and you're just kind of physically binding up your body, you're still doing action. So even though you're trying to cause yourself to be inactive, you can still be creating karma because of your consciousness, right? And at the same time, a person who has the proper consciousness can be active all day with their body and their mind and not create any reaction. So in that way, there's inaction within action or action within inaction. And it's all a matter of your consciousness. So then Krishna advises, do all of your actions without fruit of desire and burn those actions with the fire of knowledge. And that fire of knowledge is Jnana Yoga.
I mean, all actions are born within the mind, right? And like any sin or anything, its seed is in the mind. Right? Yes.
Yeah, and that's ultimately what is explained multiple times in the Gita, actually, that we're very kind of active within the world. And Krishna is saying karma, essentially reaction, is not caused by the action, it's caused by the intention behind the action. That's what's causing the reaction. So the fundament of all of reality is consciousness. And that thing that feels very subtle to us in our current experience, which is what's your intention, is actually like extremely concrete in the conscious world. The intention is the most solid thing in actual reality. Okay, so moving to, so Krishna's saying, the last verse we read, which it is one who is detached, enlightened, and liberated. All his actions, by being performed in the spirit of sacrifice, are perfectly dissipated. Meaning, that action is offered up into the infinite as an offering with no selfish imposition. So that action is perfectly dissipated and has no reaction. And that's the karma and jnana yogi. That person who knows how to burn their actions in the fire of knowledge.
Can I ask about the word, the use of the word dissipated?
Yes.
How do you take that?
There's actually a commentary on that, which we talked about last week. But there's a so Indian philosophy, when you look at it over thousands and thousands of years, contains many different trains of thought. From what you could say current scientific thought is, which is basically atheistic atomic understanding of reality, which is basically there's tiny little particles that make up reality, and there's no God, and everything just bounces against each other, and that's what's actually happening. To the most full-fledged theism. But dissipated means there is no reaction from that. The action is dissipated means the karma is dissipated, right? By learning to offer your actions with no selfishness, with no attachment to any type of result, literally as a sacrifice, then there's no karma. So when it's saying the action is dissipated, it means it means the karma is dissipated, right? Yagyacharata karma. So again, karma means action and karma means reaction. And in this case, it means the reaction is dissipated. There is no reaction.
There's something in the, should I have one of those?
Does that make sense? Is that
What? Sorry.
He's asking you if it makes sense.
It does make sense.
okay?
Yeah. Thank you.
In the Nectar Devotions, describe that every action has two reactions. And this is very short too. One is the reaction. In other words, whatever it is that you give, that you're going to get that back, plus a little extra. Like if I cause some pain, then some pain will come to me the same in order to set me right. But the second thing is that there's a seed in the heart, like a seed, that you will tend to do that thing again. That thing will come up, that I will tend to do that thing again. That's the trouble. But in this dissipation, neither one of those things is there. Dissipate means the action is done. It doesn't hang around to have to teach you a lesson.
Nice. Okay, so then there's a beautiful part coming up where Krishna's explaining this principle of sacrifice in so many different ways. Sacrifice is one of the most beautiful ways of living. And we can start on 24, 25, and 26. Brahmarpanam Brahmahavir Brahmagno Brahmanahutam Brahmaiva Tena Gantavyam Brahmakarma Samadhina Daivam Eva Pare Yagyam Yogina Paryupasate Brahmagna Pare Yagyam Yagyena Vajuvati Shrodradini Indriyanyanye Samyamagnishu Juvati Shabdadin Vishayananya Indriyagnishu Juvati. The ladle is Brahman, the oblation is Brahman, offered by Brahman into the fire of Brahman. One whose consciousness is fully absorbed in Brahman action certainly attains to Brahman, the Absolute. Some yogis offer sacrifices to the demigods. Others offer the self into the fire of Brahman by vibrating the Pranava mantra Om. Some offer their senses of hearing, touching, seeing, tasting, and smelling into the fires of self-control. Yet others offer the sense objects of sound, touch, form, taste, and smell into the fire of the senses. So there's a...
Really, that's interesting. I never had any insight into that verse before. But suddenly it seems kind of more clear.
There's a tradition in Vedic life that and I think everyone's familiar with. You see like a fire, and there'll be like different offerings into the fire. Is everyone familiar with that? And it's a beautiful idea that you take something valuable and offer it into the fire, and ultimately the mantras that are be chanting are just offering it into the universe and wishing well on everyone. I mean, these mantras are like so nice. Like, all goodness to every direction, all goodness to the heavens, all goodness to the rain, all goodness to the ground, all goodness to the trees, all goodness to the insects. It's just like, just these amazing mantras as things are, beautiful things are offered into the fire, like a sacrifice. And what Krishna is saying here is actually there's a transcendent source of all this. It's Brahman, it's divine energy. And actually what's happening is divine energy is getting offered by divine energy as the ladle. The ladle, generally in the Vedic culture, there'll be a ladle taking liquid clarified butter and taking it into the fire. And the clarified butter is kind of like, you could say, the condensed output of the economy of that culture. And it's super valuable. Of course, ghee, we all know, has incredible healing properties, and it never goes bad. It's like this amazing alchemical creation. But that ghee is offered into a fire while these mantras are being chanted like a sacrifice. And Krishna's saying, well, what's really happening is the divine energy is being offered with the ladle of divine energy into the fire of divine energy, right? That's what's happening. Everything at its basis has divinity underneath it. So if you can be a participant in that, then you're living a life of sacrifice. Right? You're your own divine energy. And then Krishna's saying, all these spiritual practices, they're ultimately following this principle of sacrifice. Right? You can make a sacrifice to the elemental gods, the demigods. Right? You can make a sacrifice of yourself into Brahman by chanting Om. You make a sacrifice of all your senses by just controlling them. That's a burn. That's a sacrifice, right? There's all kinds of ways to participate in this beautiful offering. That word juvati at the end. Juvati means offering, to offer. Like this beautiful offering of whatever you are as a burning sacrifice into the infinite. Okay, 27, 28, 29. Sarvan indriya karmani prana karmani cha pare atma samyama yogagnau juvati jnana dipite dravya yagyastapo yagya yoga yagyastatha pare svadhyaya jnana yagyascha yataya samshita vrataha apane juvati pranam prane panam tatha pare pranapana gati rudva pranayama parayana apare niyatahara pranan praneshu juvati.
Again, there are the yogis who offer all the functions of the senses and the life forces into the yogic fire of self-purification, ignited by knowledge. Are there two cameras? Yeah, where's the other one? Oh, you got that set up, that's so good. Anyway, I'm gonna look into that thing this week.
Okay.
Sincere in their practices and faithful to their vows, some persons sacrifice their possessions. Some undergo strict penances as a sacrifice. Some practice the Eightfold Mystic Yoga as a sacrifice, and yet others perform knowledge sacrifice by singing and introspectively studying the Veda Sutta. Could you read the next one? Others practice.
Yeah, I'm just reading the previous one. I mean, all these are very beautiful just to contemplate, but this 29 is essentially explaining pranayama, and ultimately pranayama becomes kundalini and these other yogic things. But Krishna's saying the valuable thing here is sacrifice. Others practice breath control. Closing the right nostril, inhaling through the left, they bring the ascending air into union with the descending, and then closing the left nostril and exhaling through the right, they similarly offer the descending air into the ascending. Then closing both nostrils, they check both ascending and descending airs. And this is all pranayama, because ultimately your body's running on energy. Energy is prana. It's a type of, you could say, electric energy, but it's manipulated by the breath. And the excellent pranayama yogis, they don't have to breathe. They practice the pranayama, but ultimately they become in tune with that circulating prana, and they can just circulate the prana without breathing. So they control both nostrils and there's no breath, right? And then it gets into like not being able, you don't need to eat because everything is coming from prana, and you can just sit in the sunlight. And there's all kinds of really, really high practices. But Krishna's saying all of this has to be done with sacrifice. Closing both nostrils, they check both ascending and descending airs. Yet other practitioners of sense control offer all the senses into the life airs by reducing their food intake. And that's in advanced pranayama. You just basically don't need to eat. People eat like one leaf a month, stuff like that. But all of these are Krishna giving examples to Arjuna of people doing this life of sacrifice in the time that they were in. So Ashtanga yoga, which is what a lot of the yoga is now, so, some type of hatha yoga, that can be a sacrifice. People can just make a vow. That's called vrata. Make a vow and keep it. That's a sacrifice, right? Like sincere in their practice, faithful to their vows. Sacrifice your possessions. Give your possessions in charity. Right? That's a sacrifice. Undergo strict penitence. That's called tapa. Tapa means you do hard things. Go. There's all kinds of ways to do tapasya, but basically, go sit in the woods for 2 days. Don't eat. That's like tapasya. But there are people who do that for months, right? And there's people who, even today you can go up in the Himalayas, up, to 25,000 feet, and you'll see some yogi, walk into a glacial stream, right at the base of a glacier, and just go right up to his chin, sit there for 2.5 hours, and you're like, that isn't possible, because you should freeze to death, but they don't. And then they get out, and they're not looking for cameras or anything, and they walk up to wherever they live up in the mountains, and they're doing something, right? They're living a life of progression in sacrifice. Right? So all these things Krishna's saying, there's all kinds of ways to sacrifice. Move into that direction, that way of life. See your ways and your actions like that. Okay, 30 and 31. Sarve pyete yagya vido yagya kshayita kalmashaha yagya shishtamrita bhujo yanti brahma sanatanam nayam lokos yagyasya kutonya guru sattama. So you want to read 30 and 31?
Yes.
All these persons are knowers of sacrifice, purified by sacrifice. Enjoying the nectarine remnants of sacrifice, they attain to the eternal plane of the Absolute. O Arjuna, foremost of the Kurus, Without sacrifice, one cannot attain fulfillment in this world, to say nothing of the next.
Amazing truth. You know this truth. You know something. At 31, very, very, very important. And this is sort of like a thesis that we're presenting to people, that you have to evaluate it and find the truth of it for yourself. Krishna's saying, like the whole world, it's not just our minds, but the whole world is saying, you need to consume more, and eventually you'll be happy. Like have more stuff under your control, more of this, more of that. And Krishna's saying, if you don't sacrifice, you won't have happiness in this world. The previous Sanskrit is Yagyashashtamrita bhujo. If you want some amrita in your life, amrita means nectar. If you want some amrita in your life, you have to have yagya. Sacrifice leads to sweetness in your life. And Krishna's saying, actually, if you don't do any sacrifice in your life, you won't have any happiness in your life. And the next life really will not be great. Yogyashishtamrita bhujo, enjoying the nectarine remnants of sacrifice. Different way of life, different presentation of existence to reframe how you view your day. And remember, Krishna's saying, offer your breath. You know what I mean? Start to offer juvati in your day. Don't live your day without making a sacrifice. That internal change, that's the Jnana Yoga. Use your intelligence and direct these things that you're doing all day anyway as a sacrifice. Okay. 32, 33, 34.
Before we continue,
Yes, Prabhu.
it's interesting to read the translation of verse 29. Pranayama parayanaha. It says arduously. Pranayama parayanaha bhavanti. They arduously practice breath control. Arduously. And it's interesting because sometimes it feels arduous, hard to just breathe. When anger comes, when fear comes, it feels difficult to even breathe. So it's cool that we can offer that.
Yeah, and everything takes it. When you start to live a life of sacrifice with your intelligence directing that, you become very aware of moments in your life. Actually, most people are super unaware of what's happening right now. They're lost in something that's happening somewhere else, or something that just happened, or something that's going to happen. There's very little present awareness of the present. And this sort of bringing your, something as simple as your breath into an offering, into awareness, is like bringing you into the present and making an offering of what you're doing right this instant. And what happens is your life, if you can have flashes of that, your life becomes very, very vivid and interesting at every pratipada, at every next succession of milliseconds. But otherwise, you're just in your mind and you're like, you know what I mean? You're just off. You're not even tuned in. And I think, a lot of what Krishna's saying in the Gita, in the beginning, he goes to much higher states of bhakti. But in the beginning, he's like, start to become aware of your existence, start to offer it, start to become aware of your intentions, right? And start to direct them, right? There's such a giant step to moving into intentionality within your existence, right? What is the highest thing you can think of? What's the highest thing you could find? What's the highest thing that you've come across so far that's created an ideal within you? And can you actually intentionally live to that, all the time? Right? What are you doing with this most valuable thing within you, which is free will. Free will means intention. Most of the time, we're not even exerting it at all. Just, oh my God, something happened I don't like. You know, like just reactive and very, very, very controlled by things and not actually living from inside of the heart and the soul. So karma yoga, jnana yoga is very kind of, you could say, I mean, for me, it feels like a parabola, like one of those things where it's like, that's how the Gita is. It's like super straight up. It's like really like, wow, karma yoga. It's like first thing he tells Arjuna. Well, at first he tells him, you're a soul, you're not a body. Nobody dies, nobody kills, right? You have to have some atma-gyan. But then the next thing, the first yoga is karma yoga. Act without attachment. That's a rocket ship. That's a big first step. But you have to live like that. There's no other choice. Otherwise, you're just in a swirl of attachments.
Disappointment
and you're not even sure about those attachments. And they're not really bringing you any happiness. But at the same time, you're just like, you don't have any other context or way to live. So it's necessary to begin to engage in that yoga as much as possible with intentionality and awareness in the moments of your real day. Hare Krishna. Okay, 32, 33, 34. Evam bahu vidha yagya vitata brahmano mukhe karmajan vidhitan sarvan evam gyatva vimokshase shreyan dravyamayad yagyaj jnana yagya parantapa sarvam karma akhilam partha jnane parisamadhyate tadvidhi pranipatena javam pariprashnena sevaya upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshinaha.
Ananya, yes, where's the microphone? Oh, no, sorry, it's
Shay.
Shay. Sorry, I was thinking you read my.
Thus many types of sacrifice are described in the Vedas and allied scriptures. Know that they are all accomplished through action, of thought, word, and deed. Knowing this, you will be liberated from the bondage of action. O Arjuna, subduer of the enemy, knowledge sacrifice is superior to the sacrifice of material objects, because the perfection of all action, including its fruit, is its culmination in knowledge. You will be able to attain knowledge by satisfying the Divine Master with submission, relevant inquiry, and sincere service. The enlightened souls who are learned in scriptural knowledge and endowed with direct realization of the Supreme Absolute Truth will impart divine knowledge to you.
Jaya, so 34 is an important verse. I mean, they're all important, but ultimately what you're doing with your body in sacrifice culminates in awareness in your consciousness. That's jnana, that's knowledge. And Krishna gives a shortcut, very, very important shortcut, because we're all conscious beings. And you can come into connection with someone who's conscious, who has something, some real yoga, and they can impart that to you. So tad vidhi means the way, the method. Vidhi means the method, right? Pranipata means come submissively with an open mind. Don't come with your own agenda that's coming from your accumulated experiences. Don't come bigoted by your accumulated experiences. Come with a mood of submission and ready readiness to hear and to serve. Pranipat means some mood of I'm here to receive truth. And then pariprashna means ask questions filled with sincerity. Be a real seeker of truth. You know, sometimes people come and they just want to have a good argument, right? Right? They just want to have, some type of what you might call superficial intellectual debate. But desperation for truth means and asking a real question that's filled with need. That's pariprashna. Pariprashna means a question filled with need. And that is what brings the answer, that draws the answer, is necessity. And then sevaya means serve. Come with a mood of contribution, of service. So submission, sincere questioning, and service. Those are the three things that can draw the truth from the heart of one who has tattva darshana. Tattva means reality. Tattva darshana means a person who's seeing reality. So if you want to, receive that from a person who has that, those are the three qualifications to approach Guru. Thoughts, question? What are the three?
It's a test.
The three what?
Tadvidhi, the method is. Pranipatena, what does pranipata mean?
That's sincere inquiry.
No?
No.
Submission.
Yes. So tadvidhi pranipatena. Pariprashnena means
Sincere.
sincere inquiry. Sevaya, service. Tadvidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya. Upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattva darshina. Darshina means who's in the presence of truth, of what reality is. Okay. Any other thoughts, comments, questions?
These verses bring up like grief for me,
Grief.
because and I know it's common, be like, oh, I'm so lowly, but really it's like in my own experience, reflecting on my journey in bhakti, like not asking questions and not submitting and struggling to do selfless service, and just in my experience, like it's not grief like, oh, I'm so lowly. It's more like how beautiful, mercy is, and how it's like an inspirational kind of grief. Like, wow, yeah, like I can do better in my inquiry, in my sincerity, and then in my seva. So that's what it brings up for me. It's just
It's separation.
yeah.
Feeling separation from that's part of devotional life, is a very important part. That it's a kind of a grief, but it's a happy grief that is bringing us forward.
Yeah.
Because we're seeing something wonderful and feeling separation from it. It's a very, very intrinsic part of devotional life. It's really sweet, actually.
Yeah.
It's an interesting way you phrase that. I think it's actually quite beautiful. One time I heard Goswami Maharaj, he was describing that feeling of, it's called, I'm seeing something beautiful and I'm not there. And it's said to be the most valuable substance in spiritual life. Because we feel hankering for what we can perceive of that position. And at the same time, we feel like we're not there. And that intensity, that feeling creates need within us. And that need is called vipralambha in Sanskrit. It's like super powerful in the world of consciousness. Vipralambha means I'm separated from that thing that I need so much. Goswami Maharaj said it's like we're an unripe mango on the sill, you could say, and the sun that's ripening us is that need, is that vipralambha. It's like a really sweet example. But it takes a lot of development to even appreciate that verse. You know what I mean? If you can hear that and go, oh, that sounds nice. I wish I did that.
In a way, it's a kind of union with the thing. Because actually, sometimes we'll experience that. We'll be remembering, like we've been reading Navadvip Dhamma. I don't know if I can be heard at all. But we've been reading Navadvip Dhamma, which is the description of Navadvip Dhamma, the holy eternal abode of Mahaprabhu, which is, comes, well, it's always exists, it's manifesting. But anyway, we've been there many times, especially with Srila Guru there, and hearing that, it's almost like you're walking down the streets of Navadvip and really remembering it, because Bhaktivinoda Thakur is actually taking you there by his divine will. But you feel so much pain of separation from it at the same time. And it's a kind of closer feeling than being there. And I don't know, maybe that's not necessary to share, but it really is quite an extraordinary thing. And it's completely 100% an ingredient, the most powerful and most deep ingredient in spiritual progress, that even Mahaprabhu Krishna himself came to experience that feeling of separation, which is taking you to a deeper kind of feeling of being with that thing.
Hare Krishna. You took it way up there, Nani. But thank you for sharing that, brother. Okay, 35, 36, 37. Yajgatva na punar moham evam yasyasi pandava yena bhutanya sheshani trakshasyatmanyatho mayi avichedasi papebhya satvebhya apakritamaha sarvam jnana bhavenaiva vijinam santarishyasi yathai dhamsi samidhognit bhasmasat kurute arjuna jnanagni sarvakarmani bhasmasat kurute tatha.
I think, Ananya, it's right beside you there.
O Pandava, when you are enlightened by this knowledge of the reality, you will no longer be subject to your present illusion. You will see the one spiritual nature in all species of life, from highest to lowest, and that all are situated within me.
Hare Krishna. Awesome.
Even if you are the most sinful of all sinners, you will cross the ocean of sins by the boat of knowledge. As a blazing fire renders wood to ashes, O Arjuna, the fire of knowledge burns up all worldly actions.
May I ask a question?
Yes, bro.
So, well, first of all, I'm super grateful that I get to read Gita with you guys, because it's super difficult to understand. So I'm gonna say like my understanding, or the current conception that I have of the boat of knowledge, that will help us cross the ocean of sins. And then if there's some misconception, I will appreciate it if you align me to truth. So the boat of knowledge is this awareness of sacrifice as a spiritual substance, and that could be an intention. That should be the intention of every moment, every second. Is that the boat of knowledge, the awareness of that intention?
Yes. So, two things. It's that, for sure, that's the knowledge, right? That my actions should be offered into the divine. And not only that, but Krishna's giving this understanding that there's one spiritual nature that's underpinning everything. And it's within him. So it's achintya bheda bheda tattva, as Mahaprabhu said. Everything is simultaneously distinct, but at the same time it's only coming from the Lord. So in that sense it's all him. Right? There's one source for all Shakti, there's one source for all existence. So that knowledge that everything is operating, is offering to him, that's the knowledge. Everything is an offering to him. And anything else is partial. Anything else is some type of partial knowledge. But just by that consciousness, the cleansing of the cancers of your body, like if you think about cancers being destroyed by a laser, that consciousness is like lasers destroying the cancers within you. Constantly offering what you're doing to the Lord and seeing the Lord behind everything. It is Krishna consciousness in the end. And that means what? We don't have to be Krishna, conscious of Krishna like, go to Saturn, turn left, go to the Viraja River, like pop out of the universe, and then you're in Goloka over there somewhere. It's not like that. It's conscious of Krishna now, right now, in my real life, existing, perpetuating the existence of everything as an existence. And that my life in this body, with this type of way of receiving breath, with these little eyes that I perceive, these little spectrums of light with, right? Whatever this little limited experience that I'm having is also for him. And then I'm going to offer my actions to him. Be conscious of Krishna. That is the harmony, and that's ultimately the taste and the cure through everything. And that's why Prabhupada made a society called the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. The only thing that's missing is Krishna consciousness, really. Krishna is all harmonizing. Krishna is beauty. Krishna is the Lord of sacrifice, as he says at the end of the next chapter. Bhoktaram yakitapasam sarvaloka maheshwaram suhridam sarvabhutanam gyatvam shantam rinchati. Bhoktaram means I'm the consumer of all yagya and all tapasya. Krishna says that. So we have to start to offer our actions. But to give you a very short answer, yes, that's the bottom knowledge.
Could I just would like to add one more little thing.
So,
You
should
can-
I go with that and then you can ask a question?
But did you want to ask something?
Well,
Well,
why don't you
on
just
this
read it?
same thread, I'll just add one more thing. Sometimes knowledge, we have the conception of knowledge in this world as being knowing stuff, like, you just read something and you know about it, or something like that. But Guru Maharaj is explaining this, and I think it's an important point in sacrifice. Here, sacrifice and Gyan being the same thing in this chapter, clearly. Krishna is explaining that. But Guru Maharaj said that without love, knowledge will make you go mad. So what we're sacrificing for is a person. And he's the embodiment of extreme affection. And his affection is actually extant in all phases of existence, is the love of Krishna. And sacrifice is bringing us into that existence of divine love, which is in his divine will. And it's so important to remember that. Otherwise, we can become hard from sacrifice. We want to become soft from sacrifice. Because the Lord's heart is inconceivably soft.
Beautiful point. Ananya, please, what's your thought?
I don't know if this will make sense.
Do you have one also?
Could we look at and see like everyone's use of free will in that action? Could it all be considered as an offering or a contribution for the Lord and to the Lord and what's happening, whether we're conscious of it or not? Like everything going on in the world, like all of that, could that all be considered an offering or a contribution, whether we're conscious or they're conscious of it or not?
I mean, that's why Krishna's saying these verses. The thing that feels the most subtle to us is the most concrete within actual reality. And intention is everything. And everyone's intention is not pure. It's not being done as an offering.
So when we talk about things like the pastimes of like the Lord's Play, like the world we're living in now and all of that, is that a contribution to that, or are things filtered through, or?
Yeah, so there's two levels, and it's a really important question, and I'm just going to tell you the absolute truth. The only reason why anything exists within reality is for the play of God. So everything has to be seen, whether good or bad, as being sanctioned by divinity. It's the actual truth. But the people who are participating in that may have all kinds of levels of motivation. And they're doing things for many, many, many reasons. So when Guru Maharaj is saying how to evaluate this, there's a really beautiful chapter in one of the sermons where Guru Maharaj is saying how to start to practice this in the relationships of your life. Because it's not like you're going to meet some demonic person and be like, okay, well you're fine, like whatever. Right? Guru Maharaj is saying, what is this person's position in relation to service to the Lord, and what is my position? And you have to evaluate that, and then interact with that person accordingly, but also as an offering. So you're not really directly interacting ego to ego with this person. You're making an offering of your words to God, and through God they're coming to that person. And when they're speaking back to you, you're not taking it as like, oh, this person is... It's like this passing through the Lord and then coming to you, right? So the Lord is like an integral part, because you're simultaneously one with and distinct from God, right? The Lord is with you all the time. There's never a moment that He's not with you. But we're kind of like cut Him off. It's like, okay, I'm doing my thing now, buddy. But it's not nice, you know what I mean? It's like Krishna's just waiting, like heartfelt. But it has to be a choice that we choose to see it like that, and to start to live like that. But we take things in such a way that it's an input for our service, and what our output is also a sacrifice for our service. And you can go into very, very intense situations like that. I mean, I can say that I practiced this in my life, and I was fortunate enough to like actually maybe do it somewhat correctly. I mean, there was a situation where I was going into eastern Ukraine in 2017. And there was war and all this kind of stuff happening. This guy convinced me to make a structure for one of our businesses in that part of the world, because he was from there. So I'm like, flew into Moscow, flew down to Rostov, and I'm going into Eastern Ukraine. Jaya Mahaprabhu. From the Russian side. Anyways, long story short, I got pulled into a room by the Russian intelligence because the government in this area called Donetsk is called the People's Republic of Donetsk. So it was basically like a Russian puppet state. And I got pulled in, and they were just, because as soon as they saw my American passport, they're just like, "What are you doing here?" And I was like, "What am I doing here? Why am I here?"
I could not have gone through this.
And anyways, you know, like I got pulled in one room, then another room, then another room, and it's all these uniform guys. Then like the guy with like the big old, you know, like Russian hat like comes in, and he's like, you know. And then a whole bunch of guys with like no uniforms came in, and I was like, "Oh my God!" Like these are like the intelligence guys. And anyways, they start asking me all these questions in Russian. My Russian friends like translating my responses, and then they start speaking to me in like perfect English, like perfect American accent English, and. This dude comes behind me, and he's like 6'9" and freaking like just built, and I'm like, this guy is gonna punch me in the back of the head. Like I was just like, I know this guy's gonna punch me in the back of the head, and I just practiced like by Gurudev's grace. I just was like, if Krishna wants that to happen, I'm completely okay with that, and I wish nothing but good on that guy, and I wish nothing but good on all these people. And I felt complete calmness just flood into me. And it was so bizarre. They start asking me about my wife's, where was she born? They knew her parents' name. I mean, like all this stuff where I'm like, how do they know this? Like it was too weird. And then, you know, but I feel completely calm because I'm just like, have this idea of Krishna like behind everything. And I'm just like, I wish good to you. And then I offer up my answer, and it was just like literally practicing this. And then they asked me a question like, super weird, because at the time there was like this thing in America where they were pulling down the Civil War statues in 2017. And they're pulling down the statues. What do you think about that? And I'm like, that is a weird question. I don't know what the right answer is. And I just said, you know, but I was just like, okay, Krishna, like whatever. And I just said, well, everybody has good and bad history, but you shouldn't destroy history. And the guy goes, that's a good answer. And I'm like, what the? He gets out my phone. He goes, I'm going to friend you on Facebook. You check in with me every week when you're there. And when you come back through, you're not going to have any problems. And I'm going to tell those guys on the Denet side that you're good. And I'm like, he goes, honestly, we've had a couple of Americans in here. They all start crying and like, oh, he's like, we could be friends. If it wasn't like this, we would be friends in real life. It was like so weird. And then, anyways, I did check in with him on Facebook. He had some fake Facebook account, and I'm like literally on Facebook going, I am here, I'm doing this and that, I met these guys, and blah, 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 like checking in with this guy. Anyway, it is a whole long story. They like hooked us up with some little mafia guy. Then those guys like came and picked us up in a BMW. And then they're like, hey, you want to go shooting? And I'm like, not at all, but yes, sure, I'd like to go shooting. It is a totally insane story. But yeah, and then I came back over the border, and I'm like, hey, I'm coming back this day, you know, right through. No questions, no nothing. And then I got back to America, and he's like, hey, man, I really want an iPhone 10. Can you send one to me? And I'm like, I don't know if this is a test or what, but I sent him an iPhone 10. I was like,
What? Did you go buy an iPhone 10?
I bought an iPhone 10. I sent it to Rostov in Russia.
Whoa.
It was so weird.
But
my point is that you don't know everything that's happening. And the Lord is like moving in a million infinite, indiscernible ways. And there is value in connecting to that right where you are in the moment that you're living. And there's all kinds of stuff happening in the world that's really intense. And it will continue to happen. And this whole book happens in a very intense occurrence. Right? There's a bigger picture that's happening. You know, Krishna's saying, remember, no one kills, no one gets killed. So what's happening is there's a wave of experience passing over a field of consciousness. That's what's happening. And it's interacting with every single person differently. Right? And there's progression and beauty within all circumstances for everyone involved if they can turn and find the Lord. That's the actual truth.
Yeah.
And if you have faith in that, each moment is exciting and wonderful, and you can live within that. And if you don't, you're going to judge it from an animalistic point of view and be caught in that swirl. There is a divine thing. There's a divine reality, and it is reality. And then there's an animalistic, sense-based reality, and it is not reality. So, Krishna's exhorting us to start to connect with that deeper thing. Make your offerings. Receive grace. You know, and it's a beautiful way of life, ultimately, that's being communicated here, where you're making an offering without any expectation, and whatever comes to you is prasadam. That's the deeper meaning of prasadam. Prasadam means grace. Whatever comes to you, you give your offering like into a fire. It's, and then whatever comes to you, that's the grace of God. Live in that noble circle, and it's a different life in the same life. So, good question.
Happy?
I'm happy, but do you also have something you would like to add?
What was that?
I said I'm very happy, but do you have something you would like to add?
I mean, it's just, it was always said, it's like reality is existing. Reality isn't somewhere else. Reality is reality, but we have a choice not to see it. That's the only difference. That's called Maya. Maya means that which isn't, means you're wrong. It's a misunderstanding. It's not a thing, it's just
Maya means you're wrong.
Maya, that which isn't, you got it wrong. You're seeing everything wrong, and you have a choice to do that. But reality is still reality. It's not affected by that. And we can be in consonance with extreme infinite wonder, love, and service and sacrifice. Guru Maharaj, I want to add one more thing. Guru Maharaj said the only noble life is a life of slavery to the Lord. Slavery means I don't want to get paid. I want to give more for nothing. That is the most extremely noble and gentle and wondrous life. And it goes beyond any religiosity and any result of religiosity. And it's what Mahaprabhu came to give. It's such a beautiful idea. I mean, the word slavery is just like, in this world. But in the divine world, it's like the nectar of existence. But
Doesn't Das and Devi Dasi,
yeah, das, it really means slave.
servant?
Who wants to get paid for love?
Yeah, in that sense, it means you're acting without compensation, without any desire for compensation.
Right.
Which is Karma Yoga.
Which is karma yoga, basically, right? So then the remuneration comes in a different way. Those are high things, but they're actually the truth. You know, if you view love from from one standpoint, you could say, well, I'm just working for this person. I mean, it's like your kid or something. I'm just working for this person. I'm going to be paid a thing. This kid's got me enslaved. It's not like that. It's like, it's love. Okay, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42. Okay, we got 5 more verses. Nahi jnanena sadrisham pavitram iha vidyate tat svayam yoga samsiddha kalenatmani vindati shraddhavan labhate jnanam tatpara samyatendriya jnanam labdva param shantim achirena nigacchati agyascha shraddadhanascha Samsayatma vinashyati Nayam lokosti na paro Na sukham samshayatma. Hare Prabhu.
In this world, there is nothing as pure as knowledge. Eventually, a person who has achieved perfection in the yoga of selfless action naturally realizes this knowledge within his heart. It is the devoted, faithful, and sense-controlled person who attains knowledge. Achieving enlightenment, such a person soon attains the supreme peace.
Okay, beautiful.
The ignorant, faithless, and doubting person is doomed to misfortune. For the doubting soul, there can be happiness neither in this life nor the next.
So is doubting the same as not sacrificing?
Yeah, I mean it's the root of not sacrificing, is you think there's nothing to sacrifice to. You can't conceive that by sacrificing you're gonna get everything. So you don't. You're too doubtful to make a sacrifice.
Without uncertainty, no sacrifice.
Yeah, and the requirement of uncertainty is that you act into uncertainty. A doubting person generally will not do that. Right? You're not going to make a sacrifice. Ever. In fact, if you ever find yourself in a situation where you have to make a sacrifice, why would you? Right? This whole structure is built on a deeper conscious connection, not an intellectual thing. Because anything that we're talking about here, when you're talking about sacrifice, if you're just a selfish, autonomous bag of nerves and desires, like, in what world does the idea of sacrifice make any sense at all? You've got a couple decades to squeeze as much enjoyment out of anything and everyone around you, and you got to do it. Okay? And why would you take that view? Because you doubt everything else. What's real is I gratify my senses right now and I'm about to do it again. Right? That's a doubting person. And that person is going down at every minute. Controlled by their senses, no control over their mind, ego expanding, and literally heading for a horrific crash.
It's all self-imposed. It's just we're the architect of our own fate. And I mean, that's a big point. I mean, we could talk about that for a really long time, but I think it's the most wondrous, revolutionary moment when we can see whatever is happening in my experience is that is like, I don't like it. It is my necessity to rectify my own wrongness. That moment when we can really understand that is so revolutionary, and it changes the entire trajectory of our existence. And it's true. We have that choice. We've made all kinds of things that have made a problem for me that needs to get rectified. But I made that necessity for that rectification, which is coming to me of its own accord, which is coming to me beyond what I could come up with to fix myself. So it's only mercy. And that's a very big, huge, and important understanding in spiritual life. Otherwise, like Sudarshan's always saying, we'll become Mayavadis. All this is bad and wrong, and I got to get out of here. That's not our philosophy. We are embracing reality.
I often think about Guru Maharaj's words, doubts after doubts after doubts, like, you know, like the introductory book of Inner Fulfillment, like, or
Home cover.
yeah, I'm trying to remember it. It's like this pamphlet,
Yeah.
almost.
Yeah.
Home comfort. And I'm just like, oh yeah, like we're doubting everything all the time. And we bring that into our spiritual life. And it's what's our biggest obstacle, it seems, you know, towards action, towards something real. We're thinking, I don't know, so why should I act? Like all the time I feel. But now I'm like, you know, there are some certainties. You don't have much time. You're about to suffer. It's going to happen. You may lose some things. Why not, you know, why not give something?
Lovely. Inspiring.
And it's, dude, so first of all, beautifully said. It's important to notice these moments of doubt, because the doubt is always making you hesitate or resist what you know you need to do. And usually the doubt has some very small-minded, selfish aspect, right? Why would I do this? I might not get what I want, right? There's some aspect of that. And sacrifice is the cure for that. Sacrifice is, okay, I offer this up. And maybe I have a job I don't like. Well, part of me, I could be looking for another job or whatever. But if I'm going to go in and do that job that day, I have to offer that as a sacrifice to God. Right? I have to do that. And doubt's going to say, nah. Why would, like, this little stupid job? Why would God care about that? Is there even a God? There was a God. Why would he make me do this job? Or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, you can get all nuts. But there's a simple way of being, which is to sacrifice into it. You have to make a leap of faith, and you have to sacrifice into it. There's no other way to live. And then there's connection.
Progress.
And you can really actually feel doubts, especially when, I mean, I can say, you know, just for my own personal experience, trying to practice this authentically in my life by the grace of Guru, the feeling of progression that I've gotten the most in my life is when I have turned into something that I really don't want to turn into. Because I trust my Guru's words that God loves me and he gave me this thing that every part of my ego is recoiling from. And so I turn into it. And there's never been a time where it's not like, oh my gosh, actual progression. I can feel heavy weights of egotistic garbage dropping off of me by doing that. And what happens from that? Your doubts start to leave. You're like, oh my God, I was totally wrong. And that thing that I really didn't want was so good for me. You start to trust God. In the end, all doubts are just, I don't trust God. Is God really my friend? Is God really everyone's friend? We use our tiny little animalistic set of experiences to judge infinity. But something deeper is happening.
It's interesting because once I remember, you know, like especially when I was quite new, and I thought, okay, I believe all this. This is truth. This is great. I love it. It's just what I want. It's what I'm looking for. And it's really love, And then I heard when all doubts are removed, and I thought, I don't have any doubts. But there's just these subtle layers of doubts that are really all over us. And one after another. He knows the exact medicine to remove every one of them. One after another, after another, after another. And he's the best friend of everyone.
There you go. Okay, last two verses. Yoga sanyasta karmanam jnana sanchinna samshayam atmavantam na karmani nibbadhanti dhananjaya tasmad ajnana sambhutam hridstam jnanasinatmanaha chidvainam samshayam yogam adishtha bharata.
Yeah.
O Dhananjaya, renouncing all worldly actions by following the path of selfless action, one who severs all his doubts by knowledge and realizes the eternal divine nature can never be bound by action. Therefore, O Bharata, with the sword of knowledge, slash to shreds all these doubts in your heart, which are born of ignorance. Take refuge in selfless action and arise for battle. I actually just got to this part in Mahabharata again, right before the battle. And it's so interesting to see Arjuna go into that state, after everything he's displayed. Nara and Narayan. Yeah. This is such an interesting moment of play, like some experience, and it's all very beautiful. And he's like the most amazing warrior, doing all these amazing sacrifices, and his own body went to heaven to see Indra, and now he's back, and he's got all these wonderful weapons, and he's this wonderful warrior. And now that he's faced with like all of this, now it's like coming to be like, and he has all this religious intensity. He's seeing how what we're experiencing will come to be because of this war. Like all these great kings that are regulating the earth, they're regulating their senses, propagating religious principles throughout the world. And he's like, well, if they die, then all that dies with them. How can that be good? It's very interesting. Yeah. And that's kind of a meditation where I'm at right now, because we're in the middle of this kind of interesting era.
Right. I love that you're saying that. It's a very wonderful, like when you take the Bhagavad Gita in the perspective of in relation to the entire Mahabharata, then it's like, what? It's so revolutionary, because Mahabharata is just full of religiosity. And he's saying, Sarva Dharman Parityaja, give up all these considerations of religion, relative religion, and just come to me. I'm right here. I'm the source of everything. I'm the source of all religion. Just surrender to me. Whatever I want, you do that. But like Guru Dave said, this is such a huge, a revolution. For me, it's like, okay, give up religion. Okay, I have no problem with that. It's like, all right, no, I'm just kidding, but you know what I mean. But in that context, it's huge, right?
Well, and in the beginning of the Gita, he's saying, well, you're speaking religious wisdom, but where is the real, where is that? You're missing something.
Starting out.
And then Arjuna's conveying, he's like, how is this even possible? All these religious principles I'm bringing up, and he's saying something else, or he's not agreeing with me at first. He's like, what's going on?
That's very nice.
That's interesting.
Maybe
that's not it.
Well, yeah, and there's a deeper thing, because there's always conflicting moralities. I mean, the whole Mahabharata is full of that, right?
Oh yeah.
What's fascinating in the Mahabharata is there's these huge scriptures full of all these moral pronouncements, and you always the situations in life in the story always come up where two of those directives are now in conflict with each other. And it's just over and over and over and over again, and everyone's like, now what do we do? Right? And it's very interesting because it's actually saying ultimately you need to come, because the deeper purport is you need to come into a relationship with life where you're moving outside of legislation. Because these are just little legislations, but you can't write enough laws to cover all the scenarios of existence.
That's so important.
So you have to come into bhava, which means relationship with reality, right? And that's what Krishna is pushing ultimately, is you need to move out of relationship with rules and into relationship with reality. And that's ultimately where the Gita is going. But it's also very, it's not disassociated. Just even at the end of this chapter, what's the end of this? This is the yoga of knowledge. And he says, okay, now you got to get up and fight. Right? So at the end of the day, it's like we got to fight our own battles, of our life. And we have to do it. We have to get up and go into it. So, okay.
Wow.
Jai Shri Krishna, Jai Saraswat ki Jai, Rucheta Dham ki Jai, Bhagavad Gita Upanishad ki Jai,
Jai.
Jnana Yoga ki Jai,
Jai.
Sridhar Bhakti Sundar Goswami Maharaj ki Jai, Jai Shri Paramahansa Thakur Bhakti Rakshaka Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj ki Jai, Jai Shri Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada ki Jai, Rupanu Guru Bhagavad ki Jai, Nitai Guru Premanande, Hari Om.
Jai Sudarshan Prabhu ki
Jai Shri Mataji ki Jai, and
Jai.
all the devotees
Kijai.
reading Gita together, doing the knowledge sacrifice. Hey, all right. Ki Jai.
It's super cool that the last verse of the path of knowledge is just take refuge in simplest action and arise from the all these complex concepts is might be revealed by just practicing
Courage.
Yeah.
Okay, and turn into it.
We
All
need
right.
to have bookmarks.
Uh,
The bookmarks.
First for Hari Haraya. Anyone? Haridev. Oh,
Too slow.
too slow. You don't have this memorized, Haridev?
No, I'm setting up there.
Oh, you're turning off so that nobody has to
Yeah.
hear you sing?
Yeah, exactly. He's smart. Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Yadavaya Nama Yadavaya Hare
Mahaprabhu ki jai, Saraswat Sriman Prabhu ki jai, Jai, Salt Lake City, Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mission ki jai, Jai Guru Premanande.
Haribo.
So it turned off and we didn't get a chance to say hello to him.
Oh, I didn't turn it off.
Oh, you just turned off the phone.
I turned down my voice.
Oh.
I was just making sure it didn't blast everybody's ears before the kirtan. But there's some interesting comments tonight.
Oh, really?
There's Bhima Krishna Prabhu, of
Jai
course.
Bhima.
Krishna is also
Oh,
offering
Krishna.
Kirtandavat. Krishna.
Krishna.
Kalyani Divi offering
Oh.
Kirtandavat. And there's Divi called the Sky Ollington. I don't know her devotional name.
Yeah,
but she
she's from
says,
Australia.
I'm so grateful to be able to hear this.
Her name is
Sumangala?
Sumangala from Australia.
Sumangala Haribo!
She's running the mott in
Australia.
in
Willumbar.
Willumbar. There you go. See, oh, this guy's been in Australia, man. That is obvious.
What did you just say?
Mawulimba.
Oh, wow.
Have you been there? Did you go to the Australian one?
Sri Govinda Dham?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I did not make it there.
Oh, well, it's incredible.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't really realize how jungly Australia was, but it is like
Mm.
full on jungle
Yeah.
and absolutely insane. I mean, it's amazing. It's incredible, beautiful bird. Like everything's just like wild.
Yeah.
Plants, the birds, everything there is weird and amazing.
Like dinosaur like birds still there.
Dude, they have these birds that make the. I might have one still on my phone. I took a couple recordings in the jungle. The sounds are just freaking unbelievable.
Like from another planet or what?
Like it sounds like a
Oh, the whip.
going right by your head or
The
something.
whip birds.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, apparently it's like a male and female couple where one of them will make the sound and the other will like complete it.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah, but they're so hard to see. Like they're up there and they sound like they're just right there. And I'm like looking for them and I was like, where are they? They're just making these crazy sounds.
Okay,
In Thailand, too, can be kind of funny.
Let me see if this is the one.
Oh, you can get some very funny sounds in Thailand.
No, that's not it.
The kukuru birds are in Thailand.
Oh, yeah.
No, that's not it.
And then you got the minor birds, too.
Whoa!
That's another bird that's called
Is that Australia? That was crabs. Oh man, did I not get one?
You have to make a sound file. A file with all different funny sounds that you want to be able to.
Oh, save them.
We're offline now, right?
We're still online.
Oh, we're
I
still.
was hoping that maybe they could hear the sounds.
I can't believe I don't have
Okay,
this.
we have an assignment for you, Sumangala Didi. You have to get a recording of that whip bird. You don't want to know now what it sounds like.
Practice of this action and I recorded one of these videos.
I don't have the punya to be in to be able to visit Australia in this lifetime, I think. Well, who knows?
Alright, Dhanyavad devotees.
Dhanyavad Bhima Prabhu and Sky. Oh, who else was there?
Dhanyavad, Bhima Krishna Prabhu,
And
Kalyani Didi,
Kalyani Didi, yeah.
Krishna. Alright, Dhanyavad.